Nick Freeman is an Elgin resident for 6 years. He's a member of our board here at the museum. He's a working artist, and apparently he likes neon. And Nick is going to tell you a little bit more about himself in the course of the presentation. Please welcome Nick.
Well, hello, and welcome. Thank you for coming this afternoon. Just to set the ground rules, this is a very informal, freewheeling presentation, so if anybody feels like making a comment or voicing a question, please feel free to do so. Before we get underway, I need a volunteer in the audience. Marge, how about you? We're going to ask Marge to ring the bell every time an Elgin sign appears on screen. There aren't a lot of them. I took most of these photographs long before Sheila and I moved to Elgin, but there are a few, so we'll give you a little heads up when the time comes. So a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Nick Freeman. I was born in the dead center of the baby boom, 1956, and I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, and I worked in downtown Chicago for 30 years. So during that time, I gained an appreciation for that whole urban milieu, and especially these neon signs, which always attracted my attention. And in the late 1990s or so, when digital photography became much more available, I found that it was easy to carry a little pocket camera around with me, and when unfamiliar neon sign presented itself, I would grab a shot and stash it away with no ultimate aim other than to record these things before they disappeared forever. Because even now, many of the signs you'll see in this presentation, which were taken roughly between the 1990s and the 2010s, many of those have disappeared, and they're not coming back. So having at least a visual photographic record of them, I felt was something worthwhile. All right, then, I think we're ready to get underway. As I said, I worked in downtown Chicago for many years, and of course, when people think of Chicago, they'll either think of downtown and all of its attractions, or they'll think of the mean, gritty streets of Chicago. And during my wanderings, I would enjoy coming across these little neighborhood signs and capture them when I could. Whenever we went on a family trip somewhere, I would have my camera along. So if I happened to see a sign that I hadn't caught before, I would say, "Just a minute, kids, we're going to pull over. It'll only take a second." And I would jump out of the car and try to avoid traffic and grab a quick shot of this or that sign, and then back in the car and on our way. But the kids became used to all those interruptions throughout the years. Most of these were on kind of a low-end digital camera, as you'll probably be able to see. So when people talk about neon signs in Chicago, there's always a few iconic signs that come to mind. Everybody knows the Chicago Theater right on State Street. And when that was remodeled in the early 2010s, they were careful to restore and keep the original sign in its full working condition, because it is so associated with the city. Also, another very common sign is Wrigley Field. Everybody's familiar with that one. And there again, when the field was refurbished years ago, they kept the original look and feel of the neon sign and then added a little message board below. Then another familiar Chicago landmark, the Biograph Theater, where what's his name? Dillinger used to like to hang out up until a certain performance. So these are the well-known signs, but my interest was always kind of the out-of-the-way neighborhood signs that didn't appear in any sort of guide, but that was the thrill of the hunt. I used to enjoy traveling through these neighborhoods and finding things that hadn't been recorded before. For instance, this one is a restaurant in Willowbrook. I'm not sure if it's still there or not. There you go. There you go. Very good. The classic sign, which has all the elements. It's got great typography, it's got great color, it's got great design. And I was told at one point that there was ice skating on the roof of this restaurant every winter. So I don't know if you can verify that, but that's what I was told. So it's these more out-of-the-way places that always appeal to me. Here's an oddball sign that was in one of the Quad Cities, I believe, no longer there. But notice it's even got the classic vitrolite panels on the facade of the lounge bar,
What is it?
tavern. These plates that were assembled with a reflective surface that usually characterized a bar or a tavern. And again, a typical classic neighborhood sign, nothing too exceptional or extraordinary, but still appealing in its way. And this particular sign, I'm told, is now hanging in a bar, or rather a restaurant in Highland Park. Sorry. Billy Corgan, that's it. Yeah, with Smashing Pumpkins. He used to pass this sign on his way to his gigs every night. And so when it became available, he bought it and brought it up to his place in Highland Park. Sorry?
His wife bought it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then again, some of these older signs, you can see this is well past its prime. It's missing all of its glass tubing, but it still has a certain appeal, at least for me. I suspect that at one point there were a dancing couple here in this empty area. And now I'm not sure where to go for rumba lessons, but have to find out. Now, when we talk about signage, which is pretty common around our house, but probably not very common around your houses, we ask, what is the core purpose of a sign? And to my mind, it's attracting attention. And a neon sign is especially effective at that. Especially when it's a giant orange rat. So that next time somebody's in the need of extermination services, it's likely that they'll remember this company and seek them out. I believe it Maywood Park, that area, something like that. And again, I'm not sure which of these are still standing and which have gone. I know quite a. Okay. Okay. So yeah, they may still be in business, and this giant orange rat may be one of the reasons why. All right. So can we have a ding ding? Thank you. Ole, we've been waiting for that. And and through a little digital magic here, we can see it. Oops, shoot. Oh, shoot. Why do I always do things like that?
See here.
Is the sound coming through okay?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay.
Get rid of these and then play.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Let's see if we can proceed to the evening version. There we go. Can we have another ding ding? Now, as most of you know, this sign is no longer standing, and I never heard what its fate was. Does anybody happen to know if it was sold to a collector? That seems to be more and more common these days. In the old days, they would be thrown aside along with all the other refuse, but now there are quite a few collectors out there nationwide who buy and restore many of these. So hopefully this one is to be seen again someday. Oh, gosh darn it. My fault. I'm so sorry.
Well, Nick, while she's fixing Nick, could you go
So sorry.
I don't know what's happening.
about what time period did you see the bowl? Were you commenting? Were you active in Elgin at that time period? When did you see that?
This was before our move to Elgin, but customarily Sheila and I, or just myself, would jump in the car on a weekend morning and head out to one area or another and see what was out there. Back in the day, there weren't too many online guides for neon signs. There are more now. But back then, it was really just a question of the thrill of the hunt and see what happened to come across it. Okay, you saved me again.
Think.
Thank you. I think we're good. Thank you.
Yeah.
You better stand right there. So, what makes a good neon sign? Again, this is one man's opinion, but there are certain elements that really cause some to stand out. Obviously, color is important, the color of the enclosure, as well as the color of the glass tubing, the design elements and how they work together. The typography has always been an interest of mine, and you'll see even in a simple sign like this, there's some interesting typography there. We've also got these interacting shapes, and one of the tricky things about neon signs is that they need to work from both sides so that they can be seen from whichever direction you're traveling. So that presents some major design problems and challenges, but they've usually found a way to work around them. And of course, it's always a special bonus when they still function, when they still illuminate. And sorry. Absolutely, yes, yes. So those business owners who recognize the value of their signage and their ID have taken trouble to keep and maintain these signs in full working condition. And that's always an advantage. So here are a couple examples of signs that fill some of those qualifications. A nice colorful sign here. People may be familiar with this landmark, Margie's Candies, beautiful typography and a very well executed sign. There's another side that stretches down the other street.
What was that one?
That's right downtown. I can't name the street offhand, possibly Broadway, but it's still alive and kicking.
Most of these are Chicagoland.
Most of these are in Chicago, although you'll see that I took that term pretty broadly. There's a few signs from Gary, Indiana, all the way up to the Wisconsin Dells. Sir?
Beatles, ice cream and margarine.
I think I may have heard that. Maybe we can get some verification. A simple sign, but again, very effective.
You know anything about the good technology and how they get the colors and
I
how much?
do a little. I won't spend too much time on that because my information is limited, but it's basically two types of gas, neon and argon. Neon creates warmer colors when it's electrified by a transformer, and argon creates cooler colors, blues and greens, when it's electrified. So by a combination of the different gases plus different colored tubing, you can get a full rainbow of colors. This one I found interesting. It's a very humble neighborhood bakery sign, very common, but you see that it's still running and functioning. It's a little weathered, but it's still working, whereas the plastic sign behind it is starting to peel and fall apart. So that says something about the staying power of neon.
Are you going to start collecting plastic signs?
I hope not. Sheila would kill all of it. So in the heyday of neon signage, which was roughly the 30s through the 60s, there were many companies that specialized in that technology, and somewhere around 200 manufacturers in the Chicago area. And these just happen to be an assortment of some of those makers. I enjoyed the names of a few of these. Luminous. And Flashstrick is one of the companies, one of the signage companies that is still around today. They're very active, and they do restoration and repair to their original neon signs, as well as all the other plastic and plexiglass signs that are more common today. And it occurred to me to call Flashstrick. They're located right downtown. This was right around 2005, 2006. I asked if they still had the original concept drawings that were created for presentation to their clients to show what the neon sign would ultimately look like. And this will be no surprise to some of you, but I was shifted around from person to person until I finally talked to the guy who told me that, oh yeah, we had a full storeroom of those up until a couple weeks ago. And we threw it all out along with all the other stuff in the storeroom. So we've all heard the stories like that before, but that was quite a loss. Now, before I move away from this page, could I have another ding ding? Yeah. Thank you. One of these is an Elgin company. Any guesses of which one? Which one?
Sunlight.
No, it's this one, Progressive Neon. I came across an old phone book ad for Progressive Outdoor Advertising Company just by chance a couple of years ago. So that was one of our local companies. Now I've kind of grouped these signs into different categories, and obviously Chicago is a big town for bars and pubs and taverns and whatnot. And this sign in particular has a lot of those great qualities. It's got color, it's got arrows, it's got a cocktail glass. It's just a beautiful sign. It's way down on the south side, 95th Street. And after I finished taking a few shots, I went in and asked if there was somebody I could talk to about the history of the sign and how it's been maintained over the years. So the waitress I talked to said, "Oh, just a second. Hey, Petey." And out from behind the kitchen came this older gentleman, very nicely attired with a clean apron that had Petey stitched on the front. And he told me about how proud he was of this sign and how expensive it was to maintain. And he had obviously had a great investment in this and felt that it contributed to the duration of his establishment, which I'm sure it did.
Have you seen any signs that like move? Like I think the Liquorland one used to have the glass would.
Yes, in fact,
That bakery guy, I thought maybe his legs.
We're going to see a couple that have a little animated features in them, and that's always a highlight for me too, especially when they still function.
That one's still there?
It is, but I was just told recently by another neon nut that this is being shut down. This restaurant is being closed, and I think he said it's being replaced by a parking lot. So Not sure what the ultimate fate of this sign will be, but I hope somebody preserves it. So again, one of the more familiar downtown spots, famous for their jazz performances. Now this is a Chicago sign, because it doesn't beat around the bush. It's exactly what it's all about. Stop and drink. So had to capture that one. Another, you'll see the little icon of the cocktail glass inserted into many of these. And cocktail lounges, which were more popular a couple decades ago than they seem to be today, but there's still plenty of them around. Indies, there's another cocktail glass. It looks more like a jelly bean than a cherry, but I'm not sure what's going on there. And another one of my favorites, if I may share, just a beautiful example of a compact but very well designed sign with obviously gorgeous color and gorgeous typography. This was an old quirky sign, huge. It was a story and a half tall, and it asked that important question, are you thirsty? And they also had a television, so that was an added bonus. Tenstopet is a bar in Rockford, Illinois, that had a very large Swedish population. And in Swedish, Tenstopet means tin bucket. And I think that's how they used to consume their beer back in the day. But a lot of these factory workers and construction guys would generally start their shift around 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's why this place was always open at 6 o'clock in the morning, in case somebody needed a little extra boost. And a few other random signs came across in the suburbs. Go to Blazes, yet another cocktail glass. Oh, and this one, sorry, it's not even neon, but I just wanted to. And of course, we're all familiar with liquor stores that are still very prevalent amongst us. Rudy's, yeah, there you go. Rudy's, 100 cigars, new sweet daddies, Rudy's, very good. And this one may have had some bubble action and some simple animation involved. And many of you are probably familiar with this one in Burlington, Illinois. I think close enough. And I think they just celebrated their 100th anniversary. So I don't know if this sign is 100 years old. Probably not. But it's an old classic nevertheless. Now, if there's one other thing that Chicagoans like to do besides drink, it's eat. So we're all familiar with the variety of restaurants available to us, hot dogs being a particular favorite. Horwath's was kind of an infamous restaurant in Elmwood Park, I believe, torn down quite a few years ago after I took this shot, obviously. Another cocktail glass with the sparkling bubbles, and a notorious gangland hangout. There were several murders committed in and around this restaurant, and it had a very unsavory reputation, but supposedly the food was good. Another well-known South Side establishment. Here are a couple of very iconic Chicago landmarks, the Berghoff and the Italian Village. The Berghoff is still known today for its bouillabaisse, and the Italian Village is one of our favorite places to hang out when we're down that way. And here come the hot dogs. They love hot dogs in Chicago, and they love to put them on their signs. You'll recognize a couple of these, and there's the big one with French fries to boot. But a huge variety of hot dog establishments. And then, of course, everybody knows Superdog. And Vince said one of the reasons this the drive-in has survived and many others have gone away is because of the signage. They really took the trouble to think it through and make it as eye-catching as possible. And it's said that the characters up on top represent the original owners, Maury and Flory Berman, and somehow they have immortalized themselves on their own signs. Another local establishment on just some random Chicago street, and I still don't know what a Humburger is. I should have gone in to find out, but I didn't. Oh, one of my favorites. Does anyone happen to recognize this one? It's a little further afield. It's up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, but just a classic neon sign. I'll just gaze at it for a few minutes if you guys want to just talk amongst yourselves. No, that's one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah.
This one, another nice spot, not far from the United Center. I understand that they had a serious fire a year ago. I'm not sure what the status of the restaurant or the sign is, but I hope they both survive. Here's a cozy looking place, neat for a bite to eat, a bowl of soup. Seven Dwarves, many of you probably recognize this, right on Route 38, and it's hard to see here, but this one actually has some animation. The little fellow's right arm has two positions, so when that's working properly, which isn't always, you can see him gesturing in, and that certainly adds an extra quality. Upper Milano is another one of my favorite hangouts down in the city, no longer there. But this is a good example of the level of detail and intricacy that went into some of these signs. You can see not only all the lettering, but all the filigree around the perimeter of the sign was very carefully worked out. And remember, all of these signs are two-sided. So whatever work the bender put into creating all of these letter forms and shapes and then assembling it had to be done a second time for the other side of the sign. So the bender population was very well versed in the intricacies of this type of assembly. Peterson ice cream. I believe this is in Oak Park. This is said to be one of the oldest neon signs in the city, and you can kind of tell it has a kind of an older feel to it. But again, it's been maintained for all these years for all the right reasons. And of course, bakeries are common to every neighborhood. You see several of them here. Wish we had more today to choose from, but those are mostly gone. I think even Dinkels is no longer in operation. I believe so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Roasters, another classic bakery. I had occasion to go in to this establishment after I had taken these photographs, and I showed the proprietor, who was one of the original family, my photo of his sign, and he didn't like it. I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Well, the E is burned out." And he took great pride in maintaining his neon sign. And he suggested that I come back again when everything was working properly. Now here's an unusual sign, requires a little bit of close examination. This is a sausage manufacturer on the west, or rather the south side. And if you look closely, you'll see that the pigs are happily jumping into the meat grinder. I'm so proud of this. That's good. And the woman who ran this shop said, yeah, we get all sorts of comments about this sign. Some people don't like it, but a lot of people do, and we're very proud of it. Very good. And you'll see there's just the one pig gazing out beyond the fence, questioning his state. And now we come to another category, motels, and again, a beautiful sign. You can't go wrong with polka dots. If you need a design element, polka dots are your best friend. So Duelman's is a classic. Oh, ding, 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 ding. Thank you. Everyone knows this one. On Villa. It doesn't look quite the same these days as it did when I took this photo maybe 10 or 12 years ago. It's been repainted several times, and I think more of the neon has stopped functioning, but it's an amazing sign. It's massively large, and I hope it sticks around for a while. The Stars was one of the many motels along Lincoln Avenue, which was called the Sin Strip for a period of time. And most of those motels now have been torn down, and there's gentrification going on. But I got a call one day from somebody who said, hey, we're in the process of tearing down this motel called the Stars. Would you like this neon sign? Somehow he was aware of my book and found my contact info and asked me if I wanted to take possession of this neon sign. And while I considered it seriously for a couple of minutes, I realized that Sheila probably wouldn't care to have it in the backyard. So I had to say no. Well, it's about 20 feet tall, and it probably takes up a lot of electricity. But it does have 3 televisions, so that is a plus. Yeah. Another classic Wisconsin Dells sign. I think I probably stayed at this very one when I was a kid. Maybe some of you recognize this one. This is on Route 64, North Avenue for many years, the Breer Rabbit. A little sketchy looking, but there you go. They all are. The West Wind Motel, this is on Route 38, and this motel sign happens to appear in the movie The Blues Brothers for about 3 seconds. It's in the background of one shot in that movie. So if you're really into neon, you can check it out in The Blues Brothers. Starlight, a South Side classic. This one caused me to come up with a principle. I call it the principle of inverse attraction. And it definitely applies to some of these motel signs. The more interesting and appealing the sign, the less appealing the prospect of staying there overnight. So it always seems to work that way for some reason. I don't think I would care to spend the evening there, but I love the sign. Likewise, the Patio Motel. I'm still trying to figure out what this tagline means. An adventure in living? What could that possibly mean? Maybe an adventure in surviving the night? I don't know. This one is also long gone. The Tangier Motel, I think this was on Archer someplace. fireproof. That's always useful information. And here again, one day I happened to come across this sign in the middle of the day, and I took the photo, and I thought it was a beautifully designed sign. So I decided to come back a couple days later in the evening to see if it was still functioning, still illuminating. And literally between that first visit and my second visit, the sign was gone. The motel had been consumed by a national chain, and it had a totally generic sign in front of it. So, yeah, not sure what the fate of this one was, but it's nice to have a record. And here's a collection of other businesses that recognize the value of neon in their identification. This one is right in the heart of town, of course, and this one was also very close to downtown. This one has been moved now, and I forget where, but it's still on display somewhere. A couple of old gas stations. This one has somehow survived that long and doesn't look like it's going to last too much longer. Lots of car signs. Thank you, Leaf. Now, some of you longer-term residents can help me. Do you have any idea of how long this sign was up and on display? I know it was very large.
Yeah, decades.
Decades. Yeah. Yeah. Very.
Leaf parks can be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Leaf park.
Yeah, yeah.
Leaf park.
So yeah, that was a highlight in our.
Leaf tombstone at Bluff City is a concrete sofa.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we can get some neon. And cleaners. Every business you can think of seemed to use neon at some point. This one was a very classy sign with a rotating clock. Very distinctive, close of distinction. It even says it. Our king. This happened to be not too far from where I grew up when I was a little tot, so I played there a few times. There again, polka dots. You can't go wrong. You got an area to fill. Use polka dots. No, there's another one. This was the original one on Dempster in Morton Grove. Yeah. And Kittyland, another well-known landmark. Sorry to see that go. It was right across from Maywood Park for many years. Very popular place. I understand there was some sort of a land dispute. And even though it was still a profitable amusement park, it came down to be replaced by a Costco or something. Philadelphia Church in Chicago, but it's called the Philadelphia Church. And if you really want to send a message, tell you neon's the way to do it. Funeral home. Thank you. Thank you. This one is very close by. I'm really not sure if it still illuminates at night or not. I suspect not. But it's, I wonder. No, maybe not. Yeah. And some other random signs. Again, the fun of just driving down these Chicago streets and coming across something that caught my eye was what kept me going. Oswego, is Oswego close enough? Close enough. All right, thank you. Classic hardware sign. And of course, these fraternal organizations, which were very important and still are around today. And there, we need two. We've got the Elks and the Moose. Those were both the Elgin chapters of those organizations.
You have an oxo in the group.
Yeah, well, several as far as I can. And yet another old classic sign, this one also in Rockford. And here's another one where there was some animation involved. You see the three different positions of the cobbler's right arm, and not to mention his red cigar. So this looks like it was an actual portrait of the proprietor of this business. Not sure if it's still there, but classic in its time. And finally, it seems like whenever I've given these presentations in the past, somebody often raises their hand and asks about the magic that's primarily because there was a huge set of lips on every expressway and every tollway around Chicago. So every kid in the back seat of every car would see those bright red lips and know that they were almost home.
And it was more than one.
There were several of them, yes, and they were all very large format. And this is the only one of these photos that I didn't take because somehow this one slipped through my fingers, but I found this shot online. All right, well, thank you. I'll speak for just a minute. Are we okay with time? Sure. About the book, which became kind of the culmination of these years of gathering these photos. I had no ultimate intention with these photos other than to record these places before they disappeared. But at some point, I decided that it might be interesting to put together a collection and see if there was a local publisher that might share my interest. And it turns out that there was a small publisher in Chicago called Lake Claremont Press. And when I read their solicitation guidelines, they said, we're interested in any manuscripts about Chicago history. No photography, but manuscripts. Yes, we'd like to read your written manuscript. Please don't send any photography. So I sent them my photos. And I said, I thought you might be interested in these, despite your warnings to the contrary. And she said, yes, we like them. And one thing led to another. And within a year or two of beginning conversations, we were able to put this book together, and a small press run, and it sold out within a couple of years' time. And I just thought it might be fun to look on Amazon to see if there's any copies available for sale, because I don't have any except for a couple, and I'm going to try to hold on to those. But I wanted to see if they were available. And in fact, there was one copy available on Amazon as of 10 o'clock this morning for $14.95, which is about what the original price was. And act fast if you want to grab, because once that one's gone, chances are we're on the phone. So, questions? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Do you have any idea about what time period the old neon thing started taking?
Yeah, they say that the very first neon sign was in front of a Paris barber shop in 1922. I don't know why they got a hold of it, but it really began to pick up popularity and steam in the 30s. And, yes, yes. But it swept through America and every other country, and by the 30s, the 40s, right through the 60s, really is the heyday of neon signs. Yeah.
Do you own any neon signs?
No, I don't think so. Although I have done a few paintings using neon signs as part of the subject matter. I'm a painter as well, and just checked it out. And so, yeah, it's been fun to incorporate this in some of my work, but they're really rather practical to maintain. Even the museum has a neon sign, the sporting goods sign, which took some time and trouble and expense to restore, but it's still hanging right up on one of the walls. Ma'am?
Given the variance in our climate here in Chicagoland, do we have less neon signs, outdoor neon signs than other parts of the country?
The short answer is yes. The harsh winter conditions in Chicago are very damaging to this very delicate neon tubing. And in a hailstorm, for instance, they're very subject to damage. There are a few of these signs that I showed that have a plexiglass panel installed in front of them. In fact, I think Bolway had a plexiglass protective screen in front of it, and that certainly helps protect it and prolong the life of it. But without that, they can be very easily damaged, and then unless you've got a good contract with the sign company with unlimited repairs baked in, I think it could be very pricey. Yes?
No.
No, that's a tough one. I really can't speak to that with any authority. You know, in today's dollars, for sure, thousands of dollars, yeah. But there again, I think the business owners back in the day recognized that this was going to be a long-term commitment on their part, and they wanted a sign that represented that. So rather than just have a plastic sign printed out and stuck on a wall, they really took the trouble to put something out there that really spoke to their unique offering.
Any idea how long it takes to make one?
No, again, all those factors, depending on complexity and size. There are some smaller boutique companies still in operation in Chicago. And if you have a design idea, I understand they're willing to give you an estimate on what it would cost to fabricate. But it can vary quite a bit.
There's a whole industry now that makes what look like neon signs, but they're actually LEDs.
Yes.
They're made to look like neon.
Yes.
Get them custom made. Or
yeah.
You see a lot of them, these novelty catalogs.
Yeah, no, that's true. And they do have every appearance of being the classic neon, but probably much longer lasting. Yeah.
You go to Vegas to this place called the Neon Boneyard. Where they
yes.
Put signs from previous casinos,
yes,
restaurants, stuff like that. And you can go tour that.
Yeah, I've never been, but I know many people who have gone and raved about it. They say it's a lot of fun to wander through. And in Cincinnati, if anybody ever has an afternoon to kill in Cincinnati, there's the American Sign Museum, which doesn't look very promising from the outside. It's an old warehouse. But once you walk in the door, it's filled with every kind of 3-story Howard Johnson's, Big Boy, you name it, every McDonald's logo. That's it. They should have gone neon and they wouldn't have had that trouble, right? Cracker Barrels. All right, any other questions?
Well, let's give Nick another round of applause.
All right.
But it never ceased to amaze me when we start poking around Elgin, how much knowledge we find in the strangest of places. Who knew we had a neon expert? But thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
So, there's some more treats. Be sure to hit those. I'll bet you Nick will have some one-on-one conversations if you're interested. Thank you for coming.